Welcome from San Diego, California. We are reaching you in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, live through a unique and complex international telecommunications network via satellite, microwave, and cable. The International Training Center at San Diego State University brings us together once again through this original video conference program, which joins distinguished organizations representing education, business, government, and civil society in Mexico, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, and Argentina. We also welcome Spain, the United States of America, the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C., and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, known as UNCTAD, in Geneva, Switzerland. Welcome to our video conference, Creating Achievable Visions with a Global Scope, Methods and Results. This is the 7th video conference of the year 2001 series on new generation knowledge for productivity and global success. Today's program is very special. This is the 100th video conference produced by the ITC, a remarkable and unique accomplishment of which we are all very proud. I'm Richard Page of the Page Firm and will be the moderator for today's program. There is no doubt that organizations today, regardless of their size and nature, must adopt realistic visions that have a global perspective if they want to survive the wave of intense world competition that is rapidly changing consumer preferences and the sweeping technology-driven transformation of the way we do things. To be achievable, a vision must be a product of a systemic exercise that analyzes your current and future environment, your goals, your resources, weaknesses, and strengths, and also must be specific enough to serve as a framework for the continuous formulation and adaptation of action plans and decision-making. This video conference will review the concept of visioning and how to implement it in our changing globalized environment. Values, commitment, empowerment, and other key dimensions of our productive endeavors can only surface and excel when the organization has a clear and feasible vision of where it wants to be in the future and what action plans this will mandate. Vision with action is now the basis for success at all levels. Let me introduce today's expert speaker, Mr. Tom Hoffmann. Mr. Hoffmann is the founding partner of Essential Experiences Associates, known as EXA, a management consulting firm focused on helping Fortune 500 companies understand those organizational characteristics which will lead to higher levels of employee contribution, performance, and satisfaction. Since 1996, Mr. Hoffmann has worked with companies in North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia, and the South Pacific. Originally from Wisconsin, Mr. Hoffmann began his career at AT&T in 1970 and spent 26 years in line sales, operations, and corporate staff positions. From 1989 to 1991, Mr. Hoffmann was Administrative Director of Quality for AT&T's Western region. He served as a certified senior evaluator for the Malcolm Baldrige Award criteria for the period 1990 to 1993. He has also been a guest professor at Estonia Business School in Tallinn, Estonia, since 1992. Welcome, Mr. Hoffmann. Let me ask you a series of questions before we begin the first segment. Many organizations celebrate their strategic visioning and planning efforts by publishing them and then placing them neatly on employees' desks and on office walls. First, do you think this is useful, convenient, and important? Next, what does it take to actually integrate these concepts into the organization's culture and work environment? And finally, in other words, what does it take to make a vision achievable?
Well, thank you, Dick. With reference to the first question, communication is absolutely critical to the implementation of vision. And any assistance that you can have, any media that you can use to assist you with that process is extremely important. So having placards on people's desks reminds people of the vision. However, if you start with that, you probably will fail, because by the time it arrives on your desk, people should know what the vision is, should have been involved in the process of developing the vision, and by that time have some buy-in to it. What does it take to actually integrate this? It takes a great deal of effort and work on the part of the leaders and of the managers of the business. First of all, their behaviors need to be aligned with the vision, where they want to go. And these behaviors ultimately need to be integrated into the cultural and the value system. If they're not aligned, the vision will not be achievable. And so it takes a great deal of work to have an achievable vision, but an achievable vision is one that is aligned with your core beliefs and values of where you believe you are as a business, as well as a change system in your company or institution which allows you to keep up with your clients, customers, and stakeholders' needs. And finally, it takes a great deal of work, just plain hard work.
Thank you, Tom. Let us now begin with Module 1, where Mr. Hoffmann will discuss the benefits of having a vision and the change implications of vision implementation.
Vision, an exciting, intriguing, engaging, idyllic picture of the future. Won't it be wonderful when we get there, we think. Our world will be great. Then, just when the excitement is at a crescendo, a cynic in the group blurts out, "Wait a minute, does that mean we have to change to get there?" Everyone holds his or her breath for a second with anticipation. Then, "Yes," is the reply. Have you ever found yourself in that position? What did it feel like? What thoughts went racing through your mind? But what an important lesson that simple but frightening question provides, especially as we seek to create achievable visions. Visions are essential for change. Namely, visions inspire organizations to undertake journeys, movement to a more ideal place. The journeys require organizations to modify current operational models and behaviors. Movement from the current state to the desired state. To do so, visions require our businesses and institutions have a system of change as a foundation. Visions also require that the system of change be capable of transforming our businesses and institutions. Visions reside at the core of change. During our time today, I would like to explore those concepts. In the first module, we will focus on the power and change implications of vision. In the second module, we will focus on methods or tools for creating achievable visions. In that module, we will also have a surprise guest to share his journey of actualizing an achievable vision with a global scope. I begin with an assumption. A successful business is anchored in change, not stability. While that may sound obvious to our natural instincts, this almost sounds counterintuitive. We live in a world where environments are constantly changing. As our families grow, we change how we support them. As our local communities and cities grow, we adopt new ways to cope and interface. As consumers' perceptions of value change, we change how we deliver those products and services. As technology grows, we shift in how we live our lives, adapting to how we interact with each other and our work. Our businesses and institutions reside in that same environment. If we expect our businesses and institutions to thrive locally or globally, we must build them on a vision that moves them even more rapidly than those we serve. We must build our businesses and institutions on a system of change that moves more rapidly than those we serve. Why? because our businesses and institutions, in many instances, create, feed, and or develop our customers' changing perceptions of product or service value. Many times it is what we do, leading change, or do not do, resisting change, that educates our customers to expect more value from suppliers in exchange for their hard-earned money. Whichever one we choose, it is reflective of our vision. At the core of an achievable vision is a change system. At the core of an effective change system is an achievable vision. And what does a vision do? Vision gives us a picture or image of some unique future state, articulated either implicitly or explicitly, arising from our shared values on why we should strive to change to create that future. A vision is essential for three purposes, says John Kotter in his book, Leading Change. Quote, "First, by clarifying the general direction for change, it simplifies hundreds or thousands of more detailed decisions. Second, it motivates people to take action in the right direction. Third, it helps coordinate the actions of different people, even thousands and thousands of individuals, in a remarkably fast and efficient way." Unquote. Recently, I heard Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric, being interviewed at a town meeting at Fairleigh Dickinson University. A professor from the business school asked him if a vision was important for the business. In cryptic Jack Welch fashion, he responded with one word: critical. So the individual followed up with a second question: "What advice do you give other CEOs about vision?" He replied, "Simplify it." Achievable visions do not have to be complex to be effective. They can be very simple. A good vision, says James O'Toole in Leadership A to Z, says, quote, "uses memorable, simple concepts that make clear what needs to be different about tomorrow." Unquote. In fact, according to Dr. Kotter, they could even be, as he would say, mundane. The reason, he suggests, is that a vision is one element of a larger system of change, the system a business adopts to move the enterprise forward. There are many similar models proposed by experts, but the core model that my colleagues and I use to show the relationship between vision, strategies, plans, and budgets looks like this. Leaders drive the creation of the vision, an appealing image of the future, the destination of change. And strategies, a logic for how to achieve vision, the story of change. Then management drives the creation of plans, specific actions and timetables to implement strategies, the detailed journey of change. And budgets, plans converted into financials and goals. Whether it is simple or simple and mundane, vision is the origin of all other change links. Over the years during these video conferences, I have presented the characteristics of vision as described by a number of academics, authors, and consultants. This year, I would like to share those described by John Kotter. Dr. Kotter suggests that there are 6 characteristics of an effective vision. They are, and I quote, imaginable, conveys a picture of what the future will look like. Desirable, articulates a set of possibilities that appeals to the long-term interests of those who have a stake in the enterprise, employees, customers, stockholders, and others. Feasible, comprises realistic, attainable goals. In other words, achievable. Focused is clear enough to provide guidance in decision making. Flexible, in general, is general enough to allow individual initiative and alternative responses in light of changing conditions. And finally, communicable is easy to communicate, can be successfully explained in 5 minutes, unquote. Let's briefly explore these characteristics. Imaginable. Words chosen to describe the future should quickly and easily create visual images. For example, former President Ronald Reagan used visual imagery when he presented his vision of a tax cut to the American people. He described $1 trillion as a stack of money as high as the Empire State Building. Another classic visual image creating speech was given in the U.S. was the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. The next is desirable. A good vision appeals to all those who have a stake in the company, namely employees, customers, stockholders, and other stakeholders. In order to produce a better future, a good vision can demand sacrifices from some of all of its stakeholders, but it never ignores the legitimate long-term interests of any one. If one group is given precedent to the exclusion of the other in today's business environment, the slighted group will probably engage in a counterattack, whether it be boycott of products, a legal action, or passive resistance by the employees. Next is feasible. One of the trends Cotter notices is, quote, corporate visions that aren't deeply rooted in the reality of product and service markets are increasingly recipes for disaster, unquote. First, customers, investors, and employees have choices. If the company is not focused on its needs in the vision, it may make other choices, leaving the business to wither on its own destructive path. Secondly, the context of the business, as described by Malcolm Gladwell in his book, The Tipping Point, might lead people in the business to make unreasonable decisions that they normally do not make. If management doesn't remain true to the reality of its product or service markets, it will likely respond to some of those short-term pressures with decisions that favors one constituency over another. This becomes even more important and more challenging when dealing in the global environment. Cotter further suggests that for a vision statement to be effective, it must provide clues on what you will do and how you plan to get there. Many visions today appear to be moving toward statements that are very open without providing much guidance. Here's an example from a very large U.S. company. Their vision is, quote, to be one of the world's premier companies, distinctive and successful in everything we do. What type of business do you think it is? If you worked for that company, what type of clues does that vision give you about how you will achieve it? Additionally, Cotter suggests that a good vision requires, quote, stretching resources and capabilities, unquote. In the above example, it probably is a significant stretch to become one of the world's premier companies, or a stretch to be successful in everything we do. The challenge is to present a stretch vision for the organization without having it become so unrealistic it does not motivate the employees to action, and on the other hand, not so easy that it does not generate enough change to actually move the organization forward. One recommendation is paramount. If you choose to use a vague vision statement, the strategies must be clear on setting the parameters of what, when, and how you will achieve the vision. At this point, I want to again reinforce that the vision should be grounded in a clear and rational understanding of the organization, its market environment, and competitive trends. Once again, this is where effective strategies will provide the first logic and the first level of detail to show how the vision will be accomplished. Kotter's other characteristics of vision were focus, flexibility, and ease of communication. We can return to our example to review the idea of focus. In the statement, to be one of the world's premier companies, distinctive and successful in everything we do, how would you describe the focus? What do you think they will be premier of? All possible companies, or those in their chosen markets? What other possibilities does that vision leave open? Is it so open that we could apply the words of Henry Kissinger? If you do not know where you are going, every road will get you nowhere. With reference to flexibility, visions, says Kotter, quote, are open-ended enough to allow for individual initiative and for changing conditions, unquote. Returning to our example, one could conclude the vision certainly would allow for significant individual initiative and accommodate changing conditions. However, might it be too open from your point of view? On the other hand, I am not advocating detailed and rigid vision statements that would confine or become antiquated before they are introduced. Somewhere in between, there is ground for articulating a vision that captures the essence of what it is you want to become and gives some indication of the parameters that make sense for your market and capabilities, as well as some indication of how you might achieve it and some indication of when you would like to get there. It contains enough information so your stakeholders have enough information to guide their decision-making and behaviors. One handy tool suggested by Kotter is to use your sense of how easy or difficult it is to communicate as your guide to how detailed your vision statement should be. And if you find it too complex, return to the admonition provided by Jack Welch. Simplify it. So what is an effective vision? Here are a few visions from different companies. Reflect for a moment on each one of them. What first strikes you as you hear them? What do you think, and how do you think they fit Kotter's 5 criteria? The first one is from the Pillsbury Company, a food and beverage company. Their vision is, quote, "We make lips smile everywhere by making everyday food special," unquote. Is it imaginable, desirable, feasible, focused, flexible, easy to communicate? Here is the vision of Ryder Systems Incorporated, a transportation service provider. Quote, "Ryder will serve its customers with the best value in logistics and transportation solutions around the world or around the corner." Imaginable? Desirable? Feasible? Focused? Flexible? Easy to communicate? Jostens Incorporated is a provider of recognition and rewards products and services. Their vision, quote, "Jostens provides products and services that help people celebrate achievement, reward performance, recognize service, and commemorate experiences. We provide these achievements and affiliation products in partnerships with diverse organizations people belonging to throughout their lives. As a partner, we are committed to delivering value and quality that exceeds the needs of the people and organizations we serve. Jostens is a team of employees and independent business partners. Our aim is to be the world leader in providing achievement and affiliation products and to constantly deliver exceptional performance. Imaginable? Desirable? Feasible? Focused? Flexible? Easy to communicate? Next is the vision of Avon Products Incorporated. Quote, to be the company that best understands and satisfies the product, service, and self-fulfillment needs of women globally. Imaginable? Desirable? Feasible? Focused? Flexible? Easy to communicate? And here's one, Anheuser-Busch Companies Incorporated. We think of them as a beer company, but listen to their vision. Through all our products and services and relationships, we will add to life's enjoyment. Our mission is to be the world's beer company, enrich and entertain a global audience, deliver superior returns to our shareholders, unquote. Imaginable? Desirable? Got beer drinkers out there? Feasible? Focused? Flexible? Easy to communicate. Here's the vision for the Lowe's Corporation. Quote, Lowe's is in the business of providing the products that help our customers build, improve, and enjoy their homes. Our goal is to outservice the competition and to be our customers' first choice store for these products, unquote. Imaginable? Desirable? Feasible? Is it focused? Flexible? Easy to communicate? In summary, Cotter would say that the most effective visions first are, quote, are ambitious enough to force people out of their comfortable routines. Second, aim at providing better products and services at lower costs, appealing to customers and stockholders. Third, they take advantage of globalization and technology trends. Fourth, they make no attempt to exploit anyone and thus have a certain moral power, unquote. So what does it take to create an effective vision? In his book, The Mission Statement book, Jeffrey Abrams looked at over 300 companies and their mission and vision statements. He found a similar pattern in the process many of the companies use to develop their visions. They followed the same pattern that Cotter postulates. First, a first draft. The process often starts with leaders. They either convene a meeting of the top leadership or he or she commissions someone to craft an initial statement, reflecting both his or her dreams and real marketplace needs. Second, role of the guiding coalition. The core leadership team always wrestles with the ideas and concepts and over time modifies the draft. And then they take into consideration the ideas of stakeholders, employees, shareholders, and sometimes customers. The draft is revised again and again. The greater the involvement that the stakeholders have in the definition process, the greater the understanding and commitment will be when the draft is completed. Third is teamwork. The group process never works well without a minimum of effective teamwork. Fourth, the role of the heart and the head. Both analytical thinking and a lot of dreaming are essential throughout the activity. 5 is the messiness of the process. Vision creation is usually a messy process. There are so many views, opinions, and perceptions that you will feel like you take 2 steps forward and 1 back. And time frame. Vision is never created in a single sitting or meeting. The activity takes months, sometimes years. One company cited by Jeffrey Abrams took 5 years to recreate their vision. Next is end product. The end product of a vision is a statement of the future that is imaginable, desirable, feasible, focused, flexible, and is conveyable in 1 to 5 minutes. Many of the newer statements are formatted in the process described by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras in Built to Last, and covered in this program 4 years ago. Over the years, we have talked about the difficulties in creating visions. During last year's video conference on this subject, I covered this critical challenge from the point of view of the leaders. To create good visions, they must know themselves, their people, and know their business very well. Some of the consistent themes that show up, according to Cotter, that are related to the above are: first, we tend to train our people to be good managers, not leaders.